Well, hello everyone. I'm Maritza Barone and welcome to my podcast, Things You Can't Unhear. Megan Dalla-Camina is a best-selling Hayhouse author, women's mentor, founder and speaker, passionate about women's empowerment in leadership and well-being. Her purpose is to share love, wisdom, and tools for women's rising. And today I've got her on the show and I'm really excited about sharing her message to all of the women out there who are wanting to spark some type of exciting change in their life. Hi, Megan.
Hi, Maritza. How are you?
I'm really, really well. Thank you for being part of the show. Now, as I said, I'm really pumped to have you on. Why are women in particular important for you to work with personally?
I'm really passionate about supporting women. I feel like, in the areas that I grew up in, I was in corporate America for almost 20 years. And then I've been in my own business for about 8. And for a lot of that time, just working in male-dominated areas, in looking at how women can struggle, about how many gifts we have to share with the world, but how often we just don't value what we have to share. And I feel like for us as women, we need to, we're liberated, but in so many ways we're still not empowered. And that is a great passion of mine for individual women and also for the collective, because we need change in the world, and women are at the heart of that, and we need to rise to be able to enable that change.
I know, absolutely. And I know as a woman, it can be a tough gig. And even when motherhood comes into it, you can lose sight of that person that you wanted to be.
Yeah, I think that's right for a lot of women. And look, none of this is to say that men don't have their challenges, right? We know that they do. I'm raising a young man. He's
Absolutely.
18.
Yep.
Men, I love men, surrounded by men, and men have their own challenges. So none of this conversation or work negates that. We're just having a different conversation today.
I agree.
So I think that's really important to state. And look, I think the motherhood, womanhood fusion is interesting. A whole opportunity for personal growth. I've been a single mother for most of my son's life, and that has its own challenges. And I think, as you say, a lot of women do lose themselves when they become parents, and a lot of women don't. A lot of women are still really forging down the path of their passion and their purpose, and doing the juggle, and it's very, very real. So we come in all shapes and sizes, right, in terms of the challenges. But one of the things that I was most passionate about when I was writing my latest book is, how do we redefine womanhood for ourselves? How do we do that as individual women? What does it look like to us? What does it mean to be a woman today? How do we put our life together in a way that matters and is meaningful for us outside of everybody else's expectations, society's expectations, gender roles, etc. And just live it on our own terms.
So you supply many tools for women out there to, in fact, this exact thing that we are talking about, and find their flow and find their purpose in life. What are the tools that you have?
So the first would be my books. I'm a writer, and like many women, I lost that for a long period of my life, and then the last sort of decade have brought that back. So I've written 3 books, and they're really a really accessible way for women, and a lot of men I know secretly read my books. Well, they pick them up off the bedside table. Oh, that looks interesting. I'll just have a little bit of a look at that, and they're everyone's welcome, right?
Yeah.
But
accidentally leave them lying around.
Exactly. I know a lot of women do that for their partners. But the books are a really accessible way of sharing, right? Sharing stories and inspiring and empowering, and sharing the tools. So, that's the first way. I run programs. So I run online programs. I run a lot of in-person programs and workshops, particularly in organizations, but also at like big women's conferences. And again, they're tools, that people can get hold of and use to create the change that they want. And then I offer just so much free content on my website and around the place that can also support people to, just get clear. I think that the clarity is right at the heart of my work as the first thing. We talk a lot about purpose and why and passion and all of these things, but we have to start with getting clear. And a lot of my tools really start there.
I've just spent the last 2 years trying to get clear. So you're speaking right to my soul now, so I completely understand. But if someone was to come to you who is in a 9 to 5 job, absolutely dreading getting up in the morning and going to this corporate job, sitting behind a desk that means nothing to them, and they have this, they're almost a little bit lost because they don't know what's next and they don't know how to shift themselves into a clearer state. What would your advice be to someone like that?
So I was that person, so I can absolutely identify with that. And I see so many of my coaching clients come to me in that state. So I would first say you're not alone, and there is a way to find the light, right? Because I think that sense of hopefulness is so important to be able to go on the journey to find what's next. So I would say a few things. I would be looking for any sparks of joy. So any moments of light in the job that you're currently in, what are they? And even in the worst job, there are often, or pretty much always, some moments of light, of excitement, of connection. And that could just be the people that you work with, or one person that you work with that you actually like talking to. It might be one small part of the job that you have. Even though you hate being in the corporate environment, there might be one small part of your job that you really like. So look for those moments and see how you can amplify them, which will start to make going into work every day a little bit more bearable. And then start to do some visioning around, like, what are the different aspects of your life? Yes, your job is one part of that, but what are the different aspects of your life that you would really like to bring in? And whether that's, some creativity or a hobby that you really love, or how you want to interact with your family or your friends or your social group, how you might want to be involved in your community. Where are the pieces? And how can you put them together and create some vision and meaning around that in a way that's going to, again, bring that light into your life? And then the third thing that I would say is start to look for the breadcrumbs. So often when we think about, we might be feeling stuck, we're in a job we hate, we're in a relationship we don't like, we can't create the new habits to build the life that we want. We hear people all the time talking about their why and their purpose and how perfect life is when you find that. But if you have no idea what that is, it's the most unhelpful thing, right?
It's annoying, right? You hear it and you're just like, that is annoying me.
It is, because people say, just find your why and everything will be fine. But it's not that simple, right? It's not that. And anyone who's been on the path to find more purpose in their life knows that it's not simple. We have this false view that one day the skies are going to open, God's going to rain down, or whoever, in a booming voice and say, this is your purpose, go forth and prosper. And the research tells us that it very rarely, if ever, happens like that. The way that it actually happens is we find something that we're curious about, or we find something that we're excited about, even if it's just a little bit, and we pick up that breadcrumb. And then we look for the next breadcrumb and we pick that up, and we keep doing that and triggering and re-triggering the interest until it either sparks into something or it peters out. And then we pick up the next breadcrumb, and you might have multiple paths going at the same time. That was my story.
And that is exactly what happened to me as well, to be honest.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
is that what you see a lot of in your clients as well?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's very rare that I see someone who is looking for their purpose. And this could be a business client, like a small business owner, an entrepreneur, or someone who wants to be one, or it could be someone, working in corporate. It's very rare that I see someone who just goes, this is the path and off I go. More often than not, if someone's stuck or trying to find that purposeful path, it's multiple things, and we go and investigate until it becomes clearer. And we have to be willing to do that work, and find the joy in that process, as opposed to thinking this is just going to be easy and I'm going to have it figured out, in like 2 steps.
Absolutely. Now, I think many of us these days have the importance of a job with variation and with flexibility. Flexibility is so important to many of us. When it comes to deciding on whether to have a career and work for a company or whether to start your own business, what do you think some of the questions are that we need to ask ourselves around this to more clearly define the direction that we should go in personally?
It's such a great question. I was having this conversation with my nearly 19-year-old son yesterday, so that's quite fascinating, who's, at uni and investigating some of these things. So every stage of life, right? Every age, every stage. I always like to start not with should you be an entrepreneur or should you go work for someone else. I like to start with, what are you really interested in? What are the things that you want to be doing every day? Who are the people or the things, because you might be an electrician or something, or an engineer, what are the things, or who are the people that you want to be engaging with? And what's at the heart of what you want to do? And if you can answer those questions, then that will often lead you to a direction. And also, what are your values and attributes and traits, and how do you like to work? For some people, that will instantly tell them. A lot of people are really risk adverse. They like structure. They like certainty, as much as we can ever be certain of the paycheck. And some people just want to be free. They want to do their own thing. They want to write their own ticket. They want, all of that, all of those beautiful things that can come with working for yourself. So if you can answer those questions in those different buckets, I think they will guide you into a direction, as opposed to just saying, is it corporate? Is it my own business? The deeper that you go and the more, exploration you can do into some of those areas, I think it becomes quite self-evident. Would you agree?
Absolutely. Look, I grew up thinking that in order to be successful, I should work for a big corporation and, go for that ongoing promotion and, get to the top. But every time, and I still do it now, and I'm running my own business and it's going really well and I'm so clear and so happy. But every now and then I'll apply for a job, and then I'll send the application out and I'll think, oh my gosh, what if I get it? I absolutely do not want it. And then sometimes I get it and I have to decline it because I never wanted it in the beginning. And I don't know why I keep doing that to myself, because it is about really defining what is right for you. And it's the financial side that gets us sometimes. And it can be tricky not having that monthly payroll that comes in so easily, can't it?
Yeah. I mean, look, running your own business is not for everyone, it's really not. And of course, there's ways to sort of mitigate the cash flow, which is the biggest issue for so many small businesses and so many of my small business clients, my coaching clients. But it's also it changes throughout your life. I spent the first half of my life as an actress and a dancer and a performer. That was until I was in my early 20s. And then I went into corporate, which I never, ever thought, like I was the most rebellious person you ever met. Never thought I'd go sit in a cubicle. But I loved it for a long time, traveled the world, had all of these amazing opportunities and thought I would be there forever. And then, in my early 40s, it changed. And lo and behold, I'm now an entrepreneur running 3 companies. Never would have thought that would happen.
It's so great though, because you've evolved over time, and it's so important for people to understand that it doesn't have to be that one thing for the whole entire duration of their life. It can be a 5-year project. It can be a 10-year project. It can be a 15-year project. But as you evolve, you can absolutely learn new things and change.
Yeah, and you don't actually need to even know what that is. People come to me and say, I want to build my 5-year plan. I'm like, why? Like have a vision for sure. Know directionally where you're headed for sure. But you don't need to have it all laid out. Like if you can have 6 to 18 months of a view of where you want to head, like that's enough, right? The world just moves so fast. And we need to learn to be present with where we're at and what we're doing, not just what's going to happen in 10 years' time, because nobody knows that.
Visioning is important. What practice do you suggest for us to vision our future selves?
I like a few different practices. So I always tell my clients and, in my books to go and get an art journal. So like an A4 white page blank art journal that's got no lines, to just keep that and doodle and journal. And it doesn't have to be journaling, like, writing in Dear Diary, but around the things that you'd love to have in your life. What do you enjoy? What lights you up? What do you not want to be doing? What do you want to be doing? What are the different aspects? I want to travel, or I want to be at home. I want to have a lot of flexibility, or I like structure. Yeah. And just get to know yourself through that process and start to build the vision. One of the biggest challenges I see with people trying to do vision boards and I love vision boards, but they don't know themselves. They are caught up in the stories, theirs and other people's, about what their life should look like, how they should behave, what their day should be, what their values should be. And until we can unhook from that and unpack it and start to get really clear as to, well, actually, this is what I think, this is what I feel, this is what I would really like, then we can start to build a vision. So I find that the art journal really helps people to just go a bit deeper. And then absolutely, once you've got clarity on that, start building a vision board. And again, you don't need to know what the outcome is of that vision board. It just put things on it that resonate. Could be a word, could be a picture, could be a beach house. It could be a tree that you like to sit under, whatever it is. Start to build a picture of the things that really resonate with you. And if the only question that you ask yourself is, if I was going to follow the joy, what would I do next? Where would I go? What would I pick up? Who would I talk to? What hobby would I want to be doing? That is a very life-giving opening question.
They're great questions to ask ourselves. I've noticed that some of your clients, and you've shared this on your Instagram page, have called you a bit of a magician in their lives, because you make their dreams become a reality by getting them so clear. Can you share some of the stories?
Yeah, that's so funny. So all right. So I don't do that for them. They do it for themselves. Like, that's really important to know. Like, my clients don't come to me and I wave a magic wand. My clients come to me and I ask the right questions to open up the pathways, right, for them. So that's really important. They're the ones who are doing the work, and anyone who's ever been coached with a really good coach will understand that process. Yeah. But we always, as I said before, we always start with clarity. Someone might come in and they might be having a business issue, or want to start a business, or stuck in a career that they really don't like anymore, and they want to get to action. because we all do, that's how we're wired, but we need to start with clarity. So, you know, I've had clients who, you know, I had one corporate client who used to love her career, didn't love her job anymore. And as we went through the process of the, I call it the unfolding, you know, like the peeling the layers of the questions to get to the heart of it, what she really was craving was to bring her creativity back into her life. She used to be like a brilliant pianist, and she hadn't played the piano since she had her kids, and her kids were in their, you know, almost 10 and 12. So often we think we need a radical career change. We actually don't. We just need to bring the spark, the joy, some of the passion back, or create the space for ourselves. So, you know, stories like that. Some other people come in and they think that they're going for the next big job, and they actually end up starting a business. Because when you go through, again, a non-linear process, a holistic process, they figure out that they actually hate their job. You know, they're climbing up this ladder. It's on the wrong wall, on the wrong building, and it's the wrong shape in the wrong city. They want to be doing something completely different. So yeah, it's just that beautiful process of getting them to their truth.
I love how they actually physically see the magic happen from this coaching that you provide to them, and that must feel so amazing for you to.
Oh, it's good. Like it's just the best thing ever. So it really is.
Yeah, it would be. And now creativity is something that you touched on that is so important to just explore further, because when many of us think of creativity, we think of, you know, artists or actors or pianists or something with that creative flair that we're talking about. But all of us are in fact creative in some way. So how do we harness that energy to create, even if we think we are the least creative person in the world?
Yeah, I love this question. So we're born creative, right? It is inherent in us. Go into any preschool and look at the children. Is there any child in that group who is sitting around that table not wanting to play with the Play-Doh or the pencils or build something? Like it is inbuilt in us, and then we unlearn it, right? We go into school and they stamp it out of us, you know, with all of the best intentions, right? All of the best intentions. And it gets stamped out of us. I remember going, when my son was in year 5, I do a lot of work with strengths, and I went into the year 5 classroom, and they did the VIA strengths character survey, which I work with. And as I walked into the room and I looked, they all had pinned up their results on the walls, and I walked around and I was shocked because every single child in that classroom, all boys, had creativity as their top strength. And I said to the teacher, what's going on here? And she said, no. They all scrubbed out all of the other strengths because they all wanted creativity as their number one, which I thought was fascinating.
Absolutely.
So I know, right? So we are all inherently creative. The job for us as adults is to remember the creative essence that is part of us. And that might be how you cook a meal. It could be how you prepare a dinner party. It might be how you put together a presentation at work. It might be how you structure your business. I had a client who was an accountant, and when we did her strength survey, creativity was like number 2. She wasn't using it, but she started being creative about the way that she would put the spreadsheets together at work and how she'd color code and design them, to the point that all of the other accountants in the company were saying, how do I do what you do? So it comes out in all different manners in our everyday lives. And my recommendation for people is to look at, where are the small areas where you can unleash your creativity? And that could be 10 minutes a day. And for some, yes, that might be in a typical creative with a small c, like a painting or whatever. But for other people, it'll be in their everyday activities or their work activities. So We need to reclaim it for ourselves.
And not doing it once, right? Doing it consistently over a period of time is really key in what I've found for my transformation. It's just, being creative for 10 minutes a day just once probably isn't going to do it. It's not going to transform you in any way. But if you do it over a period of time consistently, that's when you'll most likely see the changes start to happen.
Yeah, well, it's like anything, right? I mean, you get on the treadmill for 10 minutes, you're not going to shrink your butt. But if you do it every day for 10 minutes, then, you're going to get some benefits. So absolutely. And I think the other thing is we don't always need to look for the transformation. We can just look for the light, look for the joy, look for the spark.
That's good.
Look for when we feel lit up. I always say to my clients, so I did a riff on Instagram stories about this yesterday. If you went through your week and looked at what is lighting you up and just paid really close attention to that for 1 week, you would get so many signs about changes that you should make to walk toward the joy. And that is life-changing, right? If we can just bring more of those moments in.
I felt tired all day yesterday for some reason. I couldn't work out why I felt so exhausted. And then the minute I started working on a podcast episode of my own, my energy started flowing in and I felt vibrant again. And it's exactly what you just said. Look for those moments of light where you're feeling energetic and vibrant and ready to go, ready to take on the world. And they're the moments that you need to keep pursuing.
Yeah, for sure. And look, I mean, our days aren't going to be all of that, but the more of that we can bring in, then the, happier, more fulfilled, whatever word you want to insert there, we will be.
Yeah. Now, you seem like a really powerful coach. When it comes to selecting a coach, do you think it's important that we choose someone who has perhaps recently been through the type of struggles that we have been through?
Yeah, so it's interesting because when I'm listening to you talk, the word mentor comes into my mind as opposed to coach.
Right.
So, because they're different things, right? Like a mentor is someone who you would go and get advice from. They're going to, share their experiences and their knowledge. They've walked the path typically that you want to walk, and they can fast track your success. Yeah. You learn from all of those mistakes. A coach can be that. And I feel like one of the most important things for a coach is that you have affinity with that coach, that coach gets you, that coach sees you, they can understand where you are, but they don't necessarily have to have walked the same path as you, if that makes sense. Like a lot of clients come to me, I coach women, although sometimes there's a sprinkling of men, on request, but 99% of my clients are women. And yes, typically those women will look at me and they're in corporate and they want to progress. I've done that, as a senior executive for 15 years, or they want to, they're burnt out and they want to get a new path. Yep, did that. Or they want to start a business. Yep, did that. And I get entrepreneurs and small business owners who want to start or build or scale or exit companies. I've done all of that as well.
You're unbelievable. You've done a lot, haven't you?
I'm old, right? So, well, I'm in my 40s. I've been around. I've been working for a long time.
Well, so we're halfway between young and old, really, if you think about it.
Yeah, I don't think I'm old, but anyway,
no, you don't sound
I have
old.
experience. I have experience, right? So yes, there's definitely that affinity and that understanding that I get them, I see them, I have experience in that space. But also, and as importantly, it's when you're looking for a coach, you're looking for someone who has deep skill set, who can hold the space, who can ask the right questions, who can bring in the right tools to guide your path, because that's their role. So if you just want someone who has walked the path that you've walked to get their experience, then go get a mentor for sure. If you want a coach, then you need someone who is deeply skilled and experienced in being a coach. If they also have the affinity and the experience, for that you have or are looking for, then that's awesome as well. And when you get those two things together, that's a gorgeous synergy. Does that answer your question?
Absolutely. Really, really strong, useful advice. So I totally agree with you. There's a difference between a mentor and a coach.
Yeah.
And that's just really, really clarified it. Now I want to talk about your third book that's recently been released and published by Hayhouse. It's called Simple, Soulful, Sacred. Tell us a little bit about it.
Oh, this book is very close to my heart.
Oh, I can hear it in your voice. It's beautiful.
Oh, look, yeah. She had her journey coming in, and she is really an invitation for women to lead a more meaningful, purposeful, and soul-aligned life. To step out of the hustle, to step into the flow, and to get really clear and intentional about what is the life that you want to live, how do you want to live it, and how do you want to show up as a woman in the world today, for you, for your family, for the collective. The second page of the book says everyone is welcome here. So everyone, irrespective of gender, age, race, whatever, like everyone is welcome into this book, but I did write it primarily for women. And it goes through 10 parts. So we look at simplicity, livelihood, well-being, comfort, soulfulness, consciousness, courage, sacredness, womanhood, and sovereignty. So it's this exploration and unfolding into each of those areas in a short chapter format, which I think is really important, because I find that so many women, and myself as well, like I like to read 2 pages before bed. I don't want to read 50 pages because I'm tired, and I just want something short but deep before I go off to sleep. So it's 200 short chapters. You can dip in and dip out. You can read it like an oracle. I can just open it, to a page a day.
It's perfect for me too. Actually, I'm a couple of pages before bed type of girl too.
Yeah, bite sizes, but not trivial. I love books where you can get I love wisdom teachings, and where you can get some really great wisdom, or something that's going to inspire you, comfort you, empower you, make you think differently about something, and then you can put it down and come back. So that's why I wrote it. She's pretty beautiful.
I'd love to get my hands on one of them, actually. You're so generous in sharing all of your knowledge that you've learned over time and all of your experience. And I believe you're recently about to share some book writing tools as well.
I've coached a lot of writers over the years, and I'm doing a Write Your Book group coaching program where I take a group of want-to-be writers who really want to write a book, who've got a message to share and need the support to bring that out into the world. So I love helping women find their voice and craft their message and know how to work the process, because writing a book is a process, and often we get stuck and then we put it away because we don't have the tools to move through. Like, we don't know how to deal with our resistance. We don't know how to create a structure. We don't know how to set up a sacred container, all of these things that are just so essential.
It's like the creativity thing. You believe, I believe sometimes that, that book writing is reserved for those really articulate people and who have studied the art of writing for many, many years. And it's just not so, because I've read so many books who all start out in that same way. They can't believe they've actually got a book in their hands that they've completed, because they never thought that they were that person who was able to write a book. So starting it is absolutely key.
You talk to really experienced writers who've written 15 books, and they will tell you that their 15th was as hard as their first. Right? Because it's a process. And when you can understand everything that's involved in that process, like, it's a game changer. Absolutely. So we start that tomorrow. I've got a few programs coming up, so I'm super excited about that.
So where can people find out more about that?
If they go to megandallacamina.com /write your book.
Easy peasy. And so your website is obviously megandallacamina.com.
That's it.
And yeah, everyone follow Megan on Instagram too, because she's got some amazing tips and quite amusing. So yes, make sure you head over there and click follow. Now, I just want to end on your life purpose and through all the years of experience and different careers and where you've come out to now. I'd love to know what your life purpose is and how you can share it with us.
Like you, I have been on a journey of discovery. You know, I'm a seeker at heart. It's what I've done since I was a young teenager. When I redid my website and my brand this year in my business, I really sat with, like, what am I here for? You know, like, everyone's got a tagline or something that's on their website that makes it really clear, this is what you're going to get, you know, when you come here. And I really, really clear that, you know, I'm a coach and a speaker and a writer and, you know, I'm a company founder and all of those things. But like, what's at the heart? And yes, I'm here to help women rise. But like, what's at the heart of that? And I wrote down love, wisdom, and tools for rising. And I was just like, wow, you know, is that what and it was like, yeah, that's what I'm here for. And I had to go through my own process of, wow, Megan, you know, like, you deal with a lot of corporates and they're your clients. So you're really going to put love on the top of your website? And I was just like, yeah, I am, because all of my corporate clients, as well as my entrepreneur clients, everybody knows that at the heart of everything that I do, it's just love, right? So that's really what I'm here for, to share love.
Any people out there who don't want more love in their lives.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's my number one value. It's everything. It's the essence of every single thing that I do. And that's what I'm here to share.
I love it.
So yeah.
Absolutely beautiful. Thank you again for sharing your insights with us today. And it's just, I've learned so much, and I talk about purpose a lot, and I've still learned a lot from you. So I hope our listeners have also managed to take something powerful away from hearing you speak.
Thank you so much. Such a great conversation. I'm really grateful for it.
I love these conversations. Thank you again. And I love to hear from all of our listeners. So don't forget, guys, let's keep the conversation going. Let me know what you thought of this episode. You can find me on Instagram at Maritza_Barone. And we now have our own little home at Things You Can't Unhear. So you can hit me up on either page. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the show and leave us a rating and review. And remember, be happy, be healthy, be conscious, and be kind.